Hi, I'm Clive Shepherd, and this short presentation is to fill you in on an interesting new project called the 30-Minute Masters. The project represents the efforts of a small band of e-learning enthusiasts from around the world who've come together to create a curriculum for a short course on e-learning design. One that can help the many thousands of subject experts and instructors out there to make a half-decent attempt at creating usable e-learning materials. Materials that will do the job quickly and effectively. We know these people won't invest a great deal of time in learning these skills. That's why we set ourselves a challenge of creating a 30-minute masters. So here's the agenda. I'm going to start by trying to convince you why we need more designers. If you buy that idea, then you will be ready to hear about what the team decided were the essentials of good design as laid out in the 30-minute masters. And to satisfy the skeptics, we'll end with a reality check. Just how feasible is all this? Now, I may not be a professional photographer, but I can take photos of professional quality using a low-cost digital camera and process them to my heart's content using budget versions of professional graphics software such as Adobe Photoshop. If I want, I can provide 1 billion people with access to my photos by copying them to a website such as Flickr. I may not be a professional video director, but I can shoot videos that are close to broadcast quality using a digital camcorder costing a few $100s, and edit these using low-cost versions of tools such as Adobe Premiere. I can share these with the world by uploading them to YouTube. And I may not be a professional publisher, but I can lay out a book in a simple desktop publishing package or even Microsoft Word, convert it to PDF, and make it available as an ebook for download by all comers using sites such as Lulu. I'm also not a graphic designer, yet that doesn't stop me putting together my own slides, like these, in packages such as PowerPoint. Again, I can share these with the world if I like. And, you guessed it, I'm also not a professional musician. Nevertheless, I can create music with the highest production values using desktop software and share it, like the Arctic Monkeys, with millions of web users on sites such as MySpace. Now, I am a professional e-learning designer, but if I was not, I'd have no idea how simple it now is to create half-decent interactive materials using simple, low-cost software such as Articulate, Adobe Presenter, or Captivate. My organisation may even have an enterprise-wide license to an online and rapid development tool such as Atlantic Link or Mohive. I'd be the last to know about it. As almost everyone, with the exception of a few e-learning developers who, in my opinion, are unjustifiably worried about their jobs. Yes, as almost everyone seems to agree, the future will see a blurred distinction between teachers and learners, between publishers and their audiences. Everyone will be a teacher. Everyone will create content, if you let them. In 2004, Chris Anderson used the term the long tail to describe the phenomenon whereby the market for supplying specialist items to small numbers of enthusiasts can actually exceed the market for mass media products serving large audiences. The orange portion of this chart, which represents the specialist topics, has a greater area than the blue portion, which represents the typical mass market. The long tail applies to training. There are many training requirements which simply can't be addressed in the normal way because there simply isn't the time or the resource available. These needs can be met by enthusiasts using rapid tools and rapid processes. The pros don't have to shift their focus. They deal with the big projects for large audiences. Yet somehow, amidst the gigantic upsurge in creativity and free expression that is benefiting millions of enthusiastic amateurs everywhere, e-learning professionals have contrived to ensure that their domain remains protected and untouched. This at a time when the demand for rapidly produced, good enough e-content is far greater than we can hope to handle. As these statistics show, we need all the help we can get. LTI magazine defines rapid e-learning as courseware, live or self-paced, developed in less than 3 weeks, where subject matter experts act as the primary development resource. Bursin's definition is similar. Web-based training programs that can be created in a few weeks and which are authored largely by SMEs. Now no one, and I mean no one, told the SMEs If I was on the board of one of the rapid development tool providers, and I am available at very reasonable rates, then I'd say they're missing a trick. They're big fish swimming in a relatively small pond. Rather than aiming their products at a few thousand e-learning professionals, why not swim in a really big pond? Subject experts, and that means just about anyone who's successfully worked at a particular job for a reasonable amount of time, plus all those trainers who are not e-learning specialists, can be counted in the many tens of millions. Many of these people would like to be able to make information available in a professional-looking format to others in their organizations. Some would even be prepared to take the time to do the necessary work. And just about anybody would be able to use the tools. And that's a reasonable position from which to start. Okay, now assuming you're a professional e-learning designer or developer, where does all this leave you? Well, hopefully not working on the simple page turners which will increasingly be left to the subject experts and the generalists. You need to be pushing the envelope a little, helping to take e-learning to the next stage. Here's some suggestions. Producing materials that incorporate a degree of intelligence or personalization. Creating challenging scenarios using rich media. Creating simulations with enough functional fidelity that they seem almost real. Introducing elements of gameplay that up adrenaline levels a bit. Creating 3D models of interesting objects that can be manipulated and explored. Creating virtual worlds with enough physical fidelity that they become immersive. So, let me ask you, what proportion of the work you do now is like this? Let's assume for now that it is a good idea to equip all those subject matter experts out there with the skills needed to create reasonable e-learning materials. Let's also assume that we're going to be bound by the 30-minute rule. Ask yourself, if you had just 30 minutes to convey the absolute essentials of instructional design, what key messages would you include? That's what we set out to determine using the 30-Minute Masters Wiki. Although I'll summarize the key points that came out of the exercise in a minute, your best bet is to explore the wiki yourself in detail. If you like what you see, then fine. If you can see room for improvements, then you too can become a part of the process by suggesting edits, which is after all what wikis are all about. Okay, so here are the key points that came out, grouped into 3 modules: prepare, inform, and consolidate. As I said before, the detail backing up each of these points can be found on the wiki. Here's where to find the wiki. The second link is to the first actual course devised from the curriculum implemented by rapid e-learning specialist Kineo. Those of you who are really alert might make out that Kineo's course is labelled the 60-Minute Masters. The best intentions of mice and men, hey? Well, I promised you a reality check, so here goes. Now, it seems to me that criminals and e-learning designers, the two never to be confused, have something in common. They do their best work when 3 conditions are satisfied: the means, the motive, and the opportunity. First, they need the means. Clearly, this requires that they have the tools to do the job, in this case the rapid e-learning authoring software. Unfortunately, as we all know, to have the right tools is not the same thing as to have the right skills. Even when you're setting your sights at developing materials in the good enough category, you'll need more than a healthy dose of enthusiasm to get the job done. That's, of course, why we developed the 30-Minute Masters. Then there's the motive. Even when the subject expert has the means to do a good job, that doesn't always imply that they'll want to. Ideally, they'll have an interest in sharing their expertise by creating learning materials. If not, they'll certainly need an incentive, something in it for them. Finally, there's the opportunity. With the best will in the world, a subject expert with no time is not going to come up with the goods. They also need the authority to become learning designers, even if it's on a part-time basis. That might mean the e-learning professionals loosening the rules a little, which includes sharing the key to the learning management system. Okay, so that's it for now. If you're interested in the project, please take a moment to explore the wiki and to try out the first instance of the course. We'd all be interested in your feedback.